Hello, Warriors. It's Jodi with Warriors Rise, and I am excited about today. Today, I wanted to introduce you to someone who we have been in the same circles, but never really met each other. I've met so many of the others. And the more I spend time listening to this man, the more I was like, he's got to come on the show. My viewers have to get to know you and the people that you have on your show. So before we begin, and I introduce you, John Michael Chambers, a wonderful name, I would like to invite the Holy Spirit. So if you don't mind, we'll go quickly in prayer. So, Father God, we just praise you for this time together. I ask you to bless my guest and everything he puts his hand to, Lord God. Let it be a blessing to you. Let it bring forth truth to all of his audience. And today, God, as we speak together, let your Holy Spirit be with us, that truth would prevail and that people would begin to see through the fog of the lies and the games that are being played often and every day. I thank you, God, and I just praise you and honor you and welcome you in Jesus' mighty name. Amen. So, John, I want to let my guests know who you are. I'll do a little intro and then I'll let you do some talking here. So, John Michael Chambers is the founder and president of JMC Broadcasting, over 200,000 followers and 15 million views monthly. He covers military intelligence, and I love the generals he has on, especially the Marines. He does economic news, and he'll be doing with some folks health-related information, and we've done some of that stuff here. I kind of cover that same spectrum with cancer things and lots of stuff that they don't want us talking about. John is an author of several books, including Amazon five-star Trump and the Resurrection of America, bestseller, this one I'm not surprised, Genocide Jabs, I like that, Vaccines, Villains, and Victims, five-star related newly released book on Amazon, Global Financial Reset. I wish you all would get these books. Surviving and Thriving the Transition. John is also a public speaker, a songwriter, creator and founder of America Media Periscope. I used to watch Periscope in the day, and so much more. He does radio, finance, just an amazing guest. And from the time I invited you on, so many crazy things has happened. But the first thing I want my guests to do is to get to know you. So can you tell us what brought you to JMC Broadcasting after Periscope and what got you involved? In the like I woke up in 2009. I saw the lies, how they were forming Obama into something you could tell he wasn't. What snapped you into where you are today?
Well, uh, uh, the American Media Periscope transition to JMC Broadcasting was your first question, so we'll start there. Juan Savin, good friend of yours, good friend of mine, good friend of the Patriot movement
Mhm,
for multiple decades, those that understand his journey.
mhm,
He said to me, John, it would be wise of you to keep your name in front of the public when American Media Periscope was transitioned. And the purpose of the transition, it, was I was quite ill. I didn't take the vax, but I had been a recipient of the shedding on top of
um,
being ill with COVID that never got handled. So I had, the spike proteins and the graphene oxide on my brain stem, and my
oh,
blood was that of someone of almost 300 years old, and
wow.
all kinds of interesting diagnosis. And but anyway, excuse me, the all that got addressed and handled thanks to my good friend Dr. Sherry Tenpenny,
Yes, she's
and thanks
wonderful.
to my good friends Mark and Michelle Sherwood, doctors Mark and Michelle Sherwood,
Mhm,
and a woman that Juana referred me to,
yeah.
and many others I'm sure you know,
Mhm,
who had advanced diagnostics and some health natural remedies. And between the three modalities and the three different two doctors and this individual, a year
mhm,
and a half later, I got better. But why did I invoke that? Because I was quite ill at the time,
mhm.
and General Flynn had an interest in the work I was doing with American Media Periscope,
Mhm,
and sent in Floyd Brown of formerly Western Journal,
mhm,
to talk with me. Long story short, they acquired the assets, and one had said, with the momentum that I had had from the AMP, uh, and the presence, thanks to Clay Clark's stage, that
mhm,
people knew of my work. Uh, he said, keep yourself out there. So I did. Eventually, I got better, which made it easier, of course. But I was ready to sail into God's sunset,
Yeah,
and but God had a different plan, and here I am, and I'm
I'm
happy to be here and
glad.
healthy.
I'm happy
Now,
you're here.
if I cough, I just want everyone to know I'm in northern Thailand. Don't be deceived by the image behind me, uh, and uh, they burn the crops each season. And this year I stayed. Usually I do not. I go south. I stayed because of the amount of work I have on me to do all the shows, and so I get the residue of that crop burning on my lungs. But bottom line is, Juan said, keep yourself in front of the public. So I did a show called 40,000 Foot View for a while under johnmichaelchambers.com, and slowly but surely as I got physically healthy, I'm not a dilettante or someone who just kind of dabbles.
Mhm,
And so it morphed into JMC Broadcasting. I don't really consider myself a news network
mhm,
nor a podcaster, but those would be the comfortable categories that people would box me into. I
mhm,
consider what I do being lean and mean,
mhm,
military intelligence and economic reporting. It's
mhm.
sort of an information portal, and not all, but by and large, the people I interview are all military intelligence and economic experts.
I love it.
Um, and you know, I figured if we're at war, we might as well speak to people that know a little bit about war and special operations and what goes on, as well as folks that are, of course, in tune to the real world that we live in, the Q drops that served us well, and what's really happening in this clandestine, not so clandestine anymore, global defense war. But anyway, long-winded answer. Um,
Mhm.
but that's how I transitioned to JMC Broadcasting, and that's kind of what JMC Broadcasting is and does. One last thing, we're launching a healthcare, as we used to cover extensively
Mhm.
at AMP because Dr. Tempany is a good friend, and
Mhm.
COVID hit, AMP was formed, boom, there we were,
Right.
and then all the rest of the doctors to follow. So we're happy to announce that I've got a team that used to be with me that's
Mhm.
coming back and launching in June full healthcare coverage, sort of a la the style that we do with the military
Yeah.
intelligence and economic stuff. We'll have a weekly show and panels with the doctors and scientists and Mickey
Wonderful.
Willis, of course,
Yeah.
and others. So
Excellent.
thank you for having me here.
Yeah, I'm so happy to have you. You have no idea. So, since I invited you on, it shocked me how fast everything's going. And one of the things I love about the generals you have on and lieutenant colonels and and even Rattletrap or we have so much happening at once and people are confused. And one of the things I notice is if they don't get that military alignment, if they don't, like, I'll say, no, 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 you guys don't understand, or, like yeah, I'm sitting and I'm going, how do we get them to understand what's actually happening? We hear Trump saying, oh, he's central casting, he's central casting. So some people think it's just a show. Some of it, I believe, was done prior because they weren't going to risk America at the moment. I do think we have some factions that come out and start doing stupid stuff, and then we have to hit it and take care of it. Me, when I joined the military, I joined on the land tree in 12th grade. I was 17 years old. My uncle was 24 years in the Marines, 27 years in the Air Force, and he said, join the military. So I walked in, they wanted to make me an officer in the Air Force, and I walked into the Marines office like a I was like, I'm too street tough to be a so anyway, but Iran was giving us a hard time back then. They had just taken these hostages in 79 and it was like, oh no, 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 no. So I graduated high school, turned 18 on June 28th, and about a week later I was in boot camp, Parris Island, South Carolina, for 12 weeks. And then Schools Battalion, and then I ended up in Camp Pendleton. But what the thing that gets me, John Michael, is that without the intelligence that you're bringing forth, people really don't have a clear view of it, of the whole picture. So I love that you do this. If you can give our audience here a little perspective of like how that came to be, where you got these generals on, and I love that you are able to do this and just describe to them how you can give them a perspective that is above this little view that they have. That's really important.
Well, as you know, been in for many years, overused terms, but they're the best words to describe it, an information war where
Mhm.
psychological operations, are being deployed by us against us for the
Mhm.
betterment of us, oftentimes very confusing, and
Mhm.
psyops being run by us, of course, against the enemy,
Mhm.
enemies of freedom, and then they're deploying psyops against us, the enemy. So you've got a whole crisscross of a whole lot of confusions.
Mhm.
Add injury, insult to injury, as an old expression goes. Then tack on fake news to
Right.
muddy up the waters. And lastly, and unfortunately, many of the podcasters either
Mhm.
have no idea what they're talking about. Some are bought and paid for. The president, Devin Nunes, seems to have a few opinions about some of the top podcasters that have gone south on truth,
Yeah.
and so yeah, it's no wonder. And of
Mhm.
course, people are busy running around in the controlled hamster wheel matrix designed for them.
Right.
So when you put all that together, people need help. People
Yeah.
need information,
Mhm.
and uh, and so for me, it was a no-brainer. We're at war. Well, let's talk to people that understand that,
I love it.
rather than your standard run-of-the-mill pundits to, spew their views. And
Exactly.
so that's what I've done. I consider it an information portal
Hmm.
during a time of war to help people make sense of the madness. And because now it's not that our audience or even myself included, but by and large, I do agree with everything my guests say, but
Yeah, me too.
basically, you have people that know more than the average person,
Hmm.
and and so when you hear it from someone who's a retired lieutenant colonel in good standing of 20 years, or retired generals like General Blaine Holt and General Flynn, I've talked with in the past. I've talked
Love
with
it.
McInerney. I've talked with Valley. But presently, I have two different military panels, and
Hmm.
they're very vastly different. Each panel, Eyes on Gitmo, is a monthly show
Love
with
that one.
Brig- Brigadier General Blaine Holt, retired Lieutenant Colonel Matt Meck, who's also Juan's Chief of Staff,
Hmm.
Juan O'Savin on the intelligence side, and Captain Pete Matisu, who I'm really so
Yeah.
glad I've been introduced to. And
Mhm.
then we sometimes Tony Schaefer,
Yes.
Colonel Schaefer comes in, and on the other panel, and both of these have been in their second year now, and they're also a monthly, is Ricardo Bosi, also known as the Australian Juan O'Savin. Uh, I call him, along with Juan, two international treasures. So we've got Ricardo Bosi on that panel, Michael Jaco. If people
Mhm.
don't, people should understand his extensive background.
Yeah.
Derek Johnson, you alluded to.
Brother.
Right there. If folks just want one source
Hmm.
to connect the dots, that
Hmm.
we are in fact in continuity of government, we are in
Yeah.
fact in a military operation, and everything the president is doing is lawful and constitutional. All they have to do is follow Derek Johnson's work on the
Hmm.
executive orders, PEDS, presidential executive, uh, I think administrative or whatever it is, documents,
Hmm.
and and the law of war manual updates, and how he grafts all that together to make sense of the current events.
Yeah.
And then we also on the panel have retired Lieutenant Colonel Tom Lennox, retired Delta Forces Colonel Chuck Sellers, Brad Wozni, Captain Rob Cunningham. These are powerful
Yeah.
men that have been to a few rodeos. So I
Hmm.
like to know what they say and they see. But at the end of the day, you mentioned earlier central casting.
Hmm.
Sure, I mean the president's said that hundreds and hundreds of
Yeah.
times, still does.
Yeah.
And central casting was established in 1925, as I understand. It's a body of doubles and stand-ins and fill-ins and replacements.
Hmm.
And so what is Trump doing? I mean, there used to be little minor hat tips. If you looked at that interview on Fox News relatively recently, the guy with the mask cut off right
Yes.
at the jugular. I mean, they're putting it in your face, folks.
Mhm.
And what does that also tell you? Not only the fact that the people are masked, but
Mhm.
the fact that who must be in control of mainstream media to a large enough extent to get that deployed on Fox News? Because it wasn't an
Exactly.
accident. And the answer is the White Hats. The answer is the military. This is a military operation.
Mhm.
Um, First and foremost, America, and then this global defense war alliance under Donald Trump as the supreme commander in chief, if you will, um, is it's a course correction for all of humanity. And you hear the term Western Hemisphere getting redirected. There's reasons. This is a plan.
Mhm.
Anyway, but back to the average folk, we'll say that it's easy to get very frustrated on, and I do too sometimes. I'm gracious. I'm understanding. They're looking at things that maybe you and I knew about 30 years ago.
Mhm.
So we're like not jaded, but it's like, hello, come on, hurry up, people, wake up. But
Exactly.
the only time I get frustrated, I'm human,
Mhm.
is when they just make such ignorant statements and then attack you on your statements.
Right.
Hey, you know, right now I'm a little bit more, when I happen to be interacting with the public through public timelines or an email I give access to. Um, Sometimes I'll portray a part of me they don't see as a show host,
Mhm.
and that is called tough love.
Yeah,
Sometimes you have to be tough, but at
exactly.
the end of the day, we want all our friends, not
Hmm.
the lunatics and the crazies. The hell with them. Get them out of the way, kick them off the side of the road, let God handle them later.
Yeah,
But the rest of us, just because a blue flag or a red flag or a Democrat or Republicans, way past that, has nothing to do with that at this point.
yeah,
And we need to help them. So one of my missions is to create broadcasting that makes it palatable for them to come and take a look,
yeah.
where it's professionally, at least to the best of my ability,
Right.
professionally produced, professionally delivered, and again with military, intelligence, economic, and now healthcare experts, because nobody trusts anything anymore, and rightly so.
Rightly.
Ronald Reagan, trust but verified. Boy, do we need to do that today. But
Mhm.
I like George Carlin. He used to say, "Garbage in,
Garbage.
garbage out." Right? So, be careful who you listen to. Whittle it down. Find a professional broadcast that's making sense of the madness for you. Chaos without clarity
Hmm.
and problems without solutions is not good broadcasting at a time of war.
Exactly.
So, we strive to calm the waters, not hopium. They get the good, the bad, and the ugly, but they get the truth.
Right.
And somebody once said, "The truth will set you free." So there you have that.
There we have it. Yeah, I love that. Yeah, this is what I've noticed. And what makes me sad is even family members, people older than me, and then some of the younger generation that I speak with. As a minister, I talk to a lot of different people. And some of them don't even know what's going on. They don't know what's happening on the day to day. And I'm like, because they're stuck in their jobs, and I'm like, you have to pay a little more attention for where we are today, And but the older ones that are buying some of these turncoat podcasters, I'm going to say it, Alex Jones, Megyn Kelly. I couldn't stand her when she attacked Trump about he was so right about Rosie O'Donnell. I'm like, what? Why can't we tell the truth?
Only Rosie O'Donnell. Sorry.
I love it. I love it. Yeah. That was hysterical. But and you're sitting there, Tucker Carlson. I used to love Tucker. All of a sudden he's scary, you know.
Well, and don't forget
Yeah,
to add Marjorie Taylor Greene and
Marjorie, I never
Candace
liked her.
Owens to the list.
Yeah, never liked Marjorie. My people used to say, I said, nah, there's something there. I'm not connecting to her. And I'm glad I never did. And Candace is from Stamford, Connecticut, where I'm from.
Mhm.
And she in the beginning she came out blazing, telling
Yeah.
the truth about slavery, who sold people into slavery, then hanging with Charlie Kirk, and now it's like ridiculous.
I had a theory, and I
Mhm.
published this, on just like a meme type thing on
Mhm.
social media a couple of months ago, asking when Dan Scavino published on Truth Social or X, I can't recall what you're talking about here, where he stated something like, we have a lot of people in government working for the American people, and there's you guys out here pretending to work for the American people and making
Yeah,
hundreds of thousands of dollars and getting clicks
right,
and views. We
right.
see you. We're watching you.
I'm
Okay, something of that tune. The following day, the president posted as a follow-up to Dan Scavino, naming all the individuals that you just named in the top of it, and then Trump style,
yeah.
reminding people of who's low IQ and who's
I
Marjorie
love
Trader Brown and so
that.
forth and so on. But uh, I came up with I posed it as a question on social media when this was glaring, and and honestly, they're just distractions to me. They're like
Yeah,
barking dogs chasing a fire engine. The fire engine is going to keep going and put the fire out, and the dogs are just rah rah rah.
right.
I you know, but I did comment on it at the time, that it's one of three things, and I've got an updated view on that now. But
Okay,
one of three things: one, they're clueless.
right.
But when you break that down, you say, well, they they certainly have deeper pockets than I, and
Hmm.
therefore one would assume they've got research help. Well,
Hmm.
they can't be clueless, okay? I mean, you got to be half asleep not to, find information. But they're either clueless, having turned the way they have, they're
Right.
either enemies, or they're part of the psyop,
Hmm. Yeah.
and should get Academy Award for Central Casting. So, I don't know, but as time gone by a bit now, since I first launched the three conclusions, Clueless is off the list now.
Right.
Um, and if someone would press me and say part of the psyop or enemies, I'm going to say enemies until again, it could be part of the psyop. I don't even think that's
Oh,
Alex Jones. I think Alex Jones has been that's not Alex Jones. There's a
yeah.
lot of people that aren't who they are.
Right.
Um, and that thing we just saw on Fox News with
Hmm.
that guy with the mask,
Right.
that's putting it right in everybody's face that can't see it, that
Yeah.
denied the fact that that wasn't Joe Biden for 4 years.
Right.
Well, now they're sticking it in your face. I
Yeah.
mean,
With the
come
tall
on.
Joe Biden. Do you remember the tall Joe Biden? He was like whole head foot taller than his wife.
Yes, and the short, very short Hillary Clinton.
Yes.
I mean, you
Yes.
go on and on.
Yeah.
JD Vance, do the homework on JD
Yeah.
Vance. That's not JD Vance.
Yeah.
I got opinions about Elon Musk. When it
Mhm.
comes to
Me
the
too.
dead and alive thing, and I'm not in the camp that says everybody's dead and
Yeah.
everybody's replaced. Of course not.
Yeah.
But there's quite a bit more of it going on than meets the eye. I'll tell you that.
Right, right. Well, they started filling Gitmo a long time ago. You know,
Mhm.
Monkey Works was showing us all the flights to Gitmo,
Yeah.
and it a lot's been done. I have we were talking about a friend that I had. I love this man. I got infiltrated by, believe it or not, crazy witches from a temple in Massachusetts, and they started trying to come after everybody and then break up the groups. And they would say that they were ritually abused and they needed help and ministry. And oh my God, it was crazy
See.
for a while. And but they were getting in between and they would get break up relationships to stop the movement forward. But one of these guys, Field McConnell, he would tell me things, and within days, one day he told me something and it happened that day. I believed everything that man ever told me. But he was far out there. He was always cussing. He loved the Lord, but he was far out there. And you know, people still to this day, they drive me crazy with they just buy whatever somebody's saying. We have to have some mental clarity. Like I feel like people have lost that ability when you've been fed everything from media. Then you have social media feeding you. And I've watched it. They talk about Mockingbird Media and a lot of these other podcasters, they're doing the same thing. If you
Of
watch, they're
course.
all doing the same thing. It's again a new version of Mockingbird Media. And I just pray, God's will be done on earth and that we wake up and that people like you and myself and Juan and all these wonderful gentlemen that I honor so much as a military veteran, um, that they are waking people up, that something snaps in that programming that they've received and that they can hear the truth. Go
This
ahead.
is one of the reasons why the plan has taken all the time it's taken, besides the fact that it's global.
Mhm.
Besides, I mean, 8 billion people, underground tunnels, underground cities,
Right.
rescuing children. I mean, every battle, we've been facing. But but at the end of the day, uh, people have we've been dumbed down, completely brainwashed. We've got chemicals from the sky coming down at us. All of our food is fake. The information's not real. I mean, the entire world we've been living in is a facade, a farce, and a evilly controlled matrix
Yes.
from the hands of evil. And
Mhm.
people are busy trying to, you know, not run out of money at the end of the month, and so and the people that at least are listening a little bit, they don't understand the importance of the why.
Yeah.
So like they're just like, well, I don't want taxes on tips, or which is great. All that stuff is fantastic, but they just look at the trickle down benefits that are coming our way or have come our way or been pledged to come our way, but they don't understand. Like if you say to them, do you realize that the Federal Reserve is a private for profit
Yes.
entity,
Rothschild.
illegal and unconstitutional banking cabal that's finally going to be ended now thanks to the
Right.
Trump administration? We're going to restore sound money, and it means nothing to them.
Yeah.
They don't understand what the president, the White House, the White Hats, and the military are doing
Yeah.
in Venezuela, in
Mhm.
Iran, in Cuba, why we're talking about Canada and
Right.
Greenland and other
Right.
things. People have to understand, but keep it. Here's what's going to happen,
Mhm.
uh, in my opinion. Certainly, and really, in the next one big jolt, more than likely within the next 6 weeks.
Yeah.
And nobody likes timing. I get that, but there's a reason for these dates.
Hmm.
Uh, and because they're date specific based on what the president has told us,
Right.
with between the redirection to God, dedication to God now with prayer, and then
That's it.
the
Yeah.
July 4th, hanging the carrots of the July 4th announcements. But at
Right.
the end of the day, what's going to jolt the rest of the people to realize this is what has been going on is it goes beyond. People just unfortunately need to see it to believe it.
Yeah.
And I understand that. What they have to understand is this is a clandestine military operation, which is why it hasn't been shown to us directly.
Right.
Okay. And they don't have an obligation to.
Mhm.
And they don't even have an obligation to tell you you're in advanced martial law, and you are.
Right.
And that's the way it is. But
Mhm.
they will be shown, and that's really going to tip the scales because now I believe they've dripped and dripped and dripped enough over the
Right.
last several years. We, the White Hats, if you will.
Mhm.
Um, and now everyone's going to get a helping hand. And this is where the EAS or EBS comes in.
Right.
I'm not one of those people that have been saying next Tuesday at 3:30 the EBS
Right.
like
Yeah.
everyone's been doing for 10 years.
Yeah.
You
I
won't
know.
find me on record like that, but I do believe it's coming.
Yeah.
I believe it should come. A lot of the military folks, I've asked them, they all say yes.
Yeah.
And it's just a matter of how it'll be deployed because it can be accomplish a few different things and when. But I believe when that happens, and it
Mhm.
will,
Yeah.
as you know, and maybe your audience is hearing this the first time, but there's a media center already built at Gitmo. In
Hmm.
fact, Matt Meck, as you know, retired Lieutenant Colonel Matt Meck, once Chief of Staff, was down there helping oversee that years ago. And it is there. I'm told it's like the size of a school gymnasium.
Beautiful.
And we know Catherine Herridge has been down there for a year or so. And I know somebody who is, can't mention the name, going through the process right now
Hmm.
for approval to be there as a media correspondent. So we're going to be reporting from Gitmo. You bet we're going to start to see the truth.
Yeah.
And when we're shown the truth, that's when everyone else piles in. And
Yeah.
I'll call it Kiss a Conspiracy Month. Kiss a Conspiracy Theorist Day, you know?
Right. That's a good one. Yeah. They'll all be coming to my house because I've been called a conspiracy nut for so long, and I don't care, because they code all the time. We had Q. And a lot of people thought Q was crazy. Of course, it eventually got infiltrated. They had to change Chan boards. And then they went silent. I said, okay, we're over the mark because, I was telling somebody when you're in an operation, you're not talking loud when you're close to your, your objective. And, so it was like, okay, they're quiet now. We're in it. Let's go. And they're still coding. They're still coding. And if you pay attention, you would probably hear it. The generals, of course, I know it. Trump codes all the time. A lot of these guys code all the time, and I love it. that goes over the head of your main audience, you know? And and then when you t tell them, they think you're nuts. You're crazy. You're just a
See, the Q argument was easy when Trump, I don't know how many times. I think it's 30 something times.
conspiracy.
Somebody counted it.
Yeah,
Yeah, well, that's probably hundreds of times. But the
yeah,
where he actually retweets or retruths
yes, yeah,
other people's stuff with
yeah,
him standing there with a Q plus and Q in the background and 17, 17, 17 cents. I mean, so when people were calling folks like you and I Q-tards, I
yeah,
would, and they were supposed Trump supporters. My rebuttal to that was, oh, really? Well, then you're calling your commander in chief a Q-tard.
yeah,
But I'm way past all this at this point. I'm not trying to win any popularity awards. I could care less.
yeah,
I'm on the pulse of truth,
yes,
and I help make sense of it for the masses through the incredible guests I have and the consistent reporting. I'm doing my job. So when someone just takes a dart and throws it at us,
yeah,
hey, you know what? You're going to get a light pistol whipping from us because
yeah,
that's not what you do. Now it's different if you're just saying, hey, what's happening here? I don't understand. What is that? Well, that we welcome. Sure, we're happy to direct you, do
hmm
your research,
yeah,
come to conclusions. But look, at the end
exactly.
of the day, we're this close to having sweeping events be presented to the world.
Yeah,
That'll just move the world over. And I'm very happy for where we are in this war. We're winning this war.
yeah,
Um, and um,
it's beautiful.
and the second cluster of time that's important besides the next 6 weeks
Hmm.
is between now and certainly right before the midterms.
Hmm.
These are going to be two broad trigger periods of time, as far as I'm concerned, for a
Yeah,
host of reasons.
right,
And while we are winning, I mean,
right,
we're witnessing the demolition and
right.
dismantling legally and constitutionally of both the IRS and the Federal Reserve. My
Yes,
God, are those big stories? You bet they're huge stories. I can't
yeah,
believe they're even happening,
I
and
know.
they're happening. And that's just tip of the iceberg. So, yeah, the
And
golden age is coming. New
yeah,
currency is coming. President Trump said in 2017, with the military brass behind him at the inauguration, I'm
mhm,
giving you back your country. We're
yeah,
restoring the power back to the people. And these just sound like politician or political sound bites. No, that's exactly what he's doing. And
that's
that's
right.
why he had the military behind him to say,
Yeah,
this is who we is.
yeah,
And, and you are the rest of the we, and we're bringing it back. And you can't restore the republic or give your country back if you still let the money be controlled
right,
by the Federal Reserve and central bank system. That's
right.
been dismantled.
Yeah,
And
it's
and so
beautiful.
great stuff is coming. And I know most people saying, yeah, yeah, well, I didn't get my $2,000 check yet, and you show me the evidence. I want to see Obama in handcuffs. Listen, we all do.
Yeah,
We get it. You either trust the plan or you don't. And let me
right.
tell you something. There is one day, if I had a research team, I'd
Yeah,
have them compile a list of all the unbelievable and incredible victories that we have had over
yeah,
these years, particularly in the last year,
yeah,
to connect the dots even further for people. But
yeah,
it's exhausting. So
yeah,
instead, I do the broadcasting.
yeah,
And like I said, the EAS or EBS,
yeah. It's
whatever it's going to be, reporting from Gitmo, people will see it all soon.
gonna be
And
beautiful.
now the unity really strengthens,
Yeah,
and we've taken the clutches of
yeah.
the evil hands off of the world.
Hmm.
I mean, they're losing control.
Right. A lot of people don't know that this was not just Donald Trump deciding to run. Donald Trump was asked to run. There is an alliance, and they're generals. They're amazing men and very tight knit. You don't just come in and join the group, and it's trusted people, trusted. And he was the most dynamic um, candidate for central casting for
Oh
what
yeah,
he's doing. I served under Ronald Reagan and I loved Ronald Reagan. We loved him and the military. Like
I bet.
nobody, it's such an honor. My son just did 6 years in the Air Force and he served under a little bit of Biden and Trump, So I said, what a legacy, Reagan and Trump. I served Reagan, he served Trump.
Nice.
And
Yeah.
yeah, so he's home now. But, this was not just Trump deciding to come in and twist and change everything, and everybody thinks he's not. This is a well planned, well orchestrated, operation. And, but people, again, think you're crazy. You're a conspiracy nut. You don't know what you're talking about. You believe in Q, you must be crazy. You must, you know. But I did want to, because if you don't mind giving me a little more time, that noise was somebody coming by my front door. That, so I
I didn't
apologize.
even hear it.
Oh,
Yeah.
it sounds like Tinkerbell. But uh, I'm trying to tell people not to get up in arms about the Ebola, and then it was Hantana, whatever it's called, virus, and I keep saying, watch the playbooks. They're doing the same stuff over and over and over, and if you
It's not
start,
working this time.
no,
It's not working.
you
They,
know,
yeah. Now listen, fear, it's all fear. You get everybody scared, their health. But listen, I shouldn't say this until we launch our lean and mean health reporting with Christy Lee, but uh, instincts have usually served me well,
Mhm.
and observing the obvious and having some common sense. It ain't working this time,
No.
and so that's where I stand on that. Doesn't mean that people. It's just nonsense. It's just all nonsense as far as I'm
I'm
concerned.
like, it's their playbook. Please just pay attention, eat vitamins. Don't get in fear because that's a big thing. It says God has not given us a spirit of fear. He's given us a sound mind. And that's what's missing in society today. Everybody's afraid of everybody. I asked the Lord once, I said, Lord, why, are they constantly dividing us? And what I heard in my spirit was, this is the enemy's attempt at Babel. He learned from God himself that if I keep people separated with different views and different voices, then they can't come together and accomplish anything. And this is why I think I'm with you that these rogue podcasters are actually enemies. They're not, I don't think like, who would destroy their reputation for a LARP, you know? Um, but, as we're watching this play out, I'm like, I tell people, they say everything you've ever said for almost 10 years now has come to pass. And it's like, well, because I'm paying attention, and I go, now watch the playbook. They're doing everything this playbook. You got these Hakeem Jeffries, who's I can't stand listening to him talk the way he talks, you've got Cory Booker. I want to tell him, shut up. I don't want to hear your mouth,
I am doofus.
Yes, exactly. Here in Connecticut, we got some bad ones. We've got Murphy, Blumenthal, and Delora with the
Yeah.
blue hair. And I'm telling you that Connecticut, if you drive during any presidential election, it's all you see were Trump signs everywhere.
Hmm.
But yet we have no representatives on that map for the redistricting. Nobody.
Right.
It's all blue. And so I'm out there trying in between surgeries and doing things. Well, why doesn't anybody care about this? Talking to my state senators, and they're like, well, it's the way we do it. No, it's not the way we do it. We have to do it Constitution. That's let me see. Nobody knows this anymore. They don't teach it in school, the Constitution. They don't teach us about our country. There's no pride. They took prayer out. Now they were showing somebody today, who every time they play the national anthem, this one woman in that state turns around and faces the opposite direction. As a veteran, that insults me. You know how many men I've seen under that flag when I go to Walter Reed? Please, but so the other thing that I just really want to tell my guests is the economic news. A lot of people didn't believe in, because I don't want to keep you too long. Your day's just getting started, but they don't believe in the Sarah Jacera. They don't believe in this reset. They don't understand that the Federal Reserve is Rothschild owned. It never was federal. They said whoever owns the money runs the world. They knew what they were doing. Like you said, every time we started to do well as a nation, they changed the rates, and then we begin to struggle, and people are thinking this is normal. And what happens is if you feed an animal in a cage, eventually one day you can shut the door and it stays in the cage. So if you could just say a little bit about what you've learned from your experts and your own opinion on where we're going with the economic reset.
Well, let's begin with Dr. Jan Halper Hayes, who served on a committee task force in the Department of Defense, now Department of War for some years, operating from England, back home now in the States. I've interviewed her a few times. She broke the news. I mean, we knew about it 10 years ago, but she broke the news on Great Britain news a few years ago that went viral. President saw it, commented on it, where she basically uh, had those guys for lunch, those two show hosts that thought they were going to, have another field day against our commander in chief. And she
Right.
redirected that communication by starting out with 18. This is an answer actually to your economic question.
Yeah.
1871. You want to start connecting dots, folks?
Mm.
Well, you want sources? Well, there's a Department of War source for you, Dr. Jan Halper Hayes. And 1871 U.S. Corp is what President Trump is presiding over the bankruptcy and dissolution of that's been going on since he made those comms with the Queen and then recently with the King and so forth and so on. So there's a dot on the economy. All right. Second dot is most of that USDebtClock.org debt, that 39 trillion we always hear about,
Yeah.
is not ours. It was fraudulent. It was illegal and unconstitutional. And for all intents and purposes, in one fell swoop, that's going to be wiped out.
Yeah.
The second thing is you're talking about connecting the dots on a global, what I call a GFR, a global financial reset. It's
Mhm.
not just a currency series of resets; it's a reset of the entire financial system. And so, so the dots are easily connected on the powers that Trump has taken away from the Federal Reserve
Mhm.
since 2020 and
Mhm.
moved those powers into the Treasury and which is the executive branch of which he's the president over, which we vote in. So now we're restoring money back, control back to the people versus the not versus the unconstitutional Federal Reserve and IRS. So those are big sweeping statements to economic shift. Now the dollar itself, we want that to go away because
Yeah.
it's not a dollar. It
Yeah.
says right on the bill, Federal Reserve note. Well,
So,
what's a Federal Reserve? It's a private bank. What's a note? It's a debt. It's a debt too. It's just a debt instrument. We're debt slaves. We don't have any money, and we haven't since 1913. And Nixon put the last nail on the coffin when he took us off the gold
right.
standard, known as the Nixon shock.
Right.
So these are just some dots from the past and the present that's, and then the president himself has said this, I don't know how many times, including State of the Union. We don't need any more income tax. We're going to stop taxes on tips. We're going to stop taxes on Social Security. We're going to stop taxes on property. All of these things are no longer needed. We have the 18 trillion pledged from foreign countries and governments, private corporations,
Right.
foreign and domestic, 18 trillion over the next 10 years committed to building and manufacturing and doing business here in America.
Right.
Never mind our oil and gas exploration. We're now the largest supplier, manufacturer, and distributor of oil in the world. Whoever would have thought that?
Right.
And so things are changing, and so the March 26th, the Treasury Department, as you know, published a press release, I'll call it, that basically said we have new currency coming out, and it'll have President Trump's signature on it. The first time a sitting president
Hmm.
has signature on the bill.
Right.
Of
Yeah.
course, the Treasury Secretary as well. So we have new money weeks away from being brought into the system. We know about, to your question of Sara Gassara, we know about, and a lot of the elements of what I'm talking about is
Mhm.
part of Nasaragasara.
Right.
And so then you have, so we're going through a great change. And I have to remind your viewers, no pain, no gain, while we're winning. And these are important things. Juan O'Savin, who knows a thing or two about currencies, having been one of the chosen five, as I understand it, during Ronald Reagan's
Yeah.
administration to take down the Russian ruble, which led to the collapse of the Soviet Union. So, in fact, I'll be meeting with Juan here in Asia and within the next few weeks for an all-day sit-down. It's been a
Wonderful.
few years since I've had that opportunity with him, so I look forward to it. But I'm rambling here to get a lot of stuff out real quick on the currency and on the reset. The conclusion of it is Juan said we are, with all we've been through and with all that lies ahead in this war, it is the financial, I'm paraphrasing him, the financial area that is going to be the most challenging for us, and where we may be facing something on the scale of an economic extinction event. Okay, so there's some paraphrases from Juan O'Savin. So people need to understand that,
Mhm.
and then we can get into so many more things. But at the end of the day, if you as you fast forward, I don't know the time frames incrementally, starting the next 6 weeks to the next 3 years would be my guess.
Yeah.
You will have the dollar Federal Reserve note will be something the world and certainly us by and large will no longer be using.
Right.
We'll have our Treasury backed Treasury controlled US dollar backed by gold and other commodities.
Mhm.
We have our sovereign wealth fund. We've got the Saint Germain Trust. We got the 650 airplanes that we brought the gold back, stolen by the Vatican under the
Right.
underground cities, and
Mhm.
go on and on and on. There's your reset, folks, one
Yeah.
step at a time, and it all leads to that QFS. And by the way, anyone who says to you, message me, get your QFS. You can't set up a QFS account. They
That's right.
don't exist for us. The system's set, it's been beta tested, it's ready to roll, but it hasn't been deployed for us yet. So anyone who says that they're stealing your money, we got
So
tons of
glad.
those stories.
Thank you for
But
saying.
in conclusion, there's your global financial reset. There's your currency revaluations. This is why, and lastly, silver and gold.
Yes. Yeah.
The banks have been playing control of this because of the Federal Reserve has gold still marked on its books at $42 an ounce. It
Yeah.
trades at 4,600. They've manipulated everything. The Q
Wow.
board, and by the way, Q is, of course, the greatest open source military intelligence operation of our time, born and raised out of the Department of Energy,
Yeah.
which is the battle of all the battles, right? So, and by the way, we should touch on UFOs in a moment,
Yes.
or off-world issues, because that's talk about reveals. Well, there's a nice one coming.
Yeah. Let's do
But
that.
back to the conclusion of what I'm saying here is, I was talking about the Fed and the IRS.
Mhm.
Yeah, there's just that's a smattering of what's happening, and it is big. Now we know there's a big problem in the bond market. Even
Mhm.
Jamie Dimon, left on side of the aisle, is on record for that. This will be, according to Jamie Dimon, the biggest meltdown of any market sector that the world has ever seen. And so that's coming, and the estimates are 6 to 9 months before it'll really rear its ugly face. And real estate is coming along with that issue for a while. And then there's some folks that say the stocks themselves will collapse, and I probably would agree with that at some point. But
Yeah.
what I was getting at was the banks, the naked short selling of the paper value.
Mhm.
That's how they've suppressed gold and silver all these years. That is over. And
Yeah.
that's why you saw silver hit 120.
Mhm.
Today it's at 80. Gold and silver, from analysts, economists, left and right, doesn't matter. All have silver at 200 to 300 an ounce before this year is up,
Okay.
and have it far higher than that later, and
Mhm.
gold as well. One last thing, because I just want the machine gun, since time is short,
Yeah.
that there is a financial reset happening. And everything I'm saying, if anyone listening says this guy's crazy, before you criticize and accuse, walk a mile in my shoes and go do some of the research and then come back and say I'm crazy.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, that's part of the reset,
Yeah.
and and gold and silver, there's floors going to be set. This
Mhm.
has been discussed as part of potential public policy soon, laws, and then a possible pegging uh, gold, real money, back to its real value. Some people have that as low as 10,000 an ounce, which could be the stroke of a pen
That's
overnight,
yeah.
or as high as 20 to 25,000 an ounce.
Wow.
But these are extra because we're restoring sound money. The
Yeah.
Constitution says only Congress shall have the power to issue and control the value of our currency thereof in weights and measures, because you have to weigh the amount of gold and silver to
Right.
back the currency. We're getting back to that in conclusion, in a series of steps,
Yeah.
right? So we have our new money coming soon.
Mhm.
Trump money, I'm going to call it for the moment, just
Yeah.
for
I love
fun,
it.
just to
Yeah.
just to really aggravate some people, and
Right.
then we will eventually, in a series of steps. I didn't get a memo from the president, so I'm not giving you specific facts. But as you study, connect the dots, and interview the people that know more than I do, you
Yeah.
come to the conclusion that once we get that new money out and that Fed note goes down, there'll be a lot of pain and suffering in that, the bond market and all that stuff. But at the end of the day, we'll have sound money. We have all the wealth. It's already been recaptured. That debt will be paid off. Elon Musk's on record,
Mm.
paraphrase him in the last 3 months, saying two things. And I'm going to say these things, and people, just to show you how jaded everyone is, and how like whoo. Hey,
Right.
listen, Elon Musk said a couple of short years from now, there'll be no need to save money anymore.
Mm.
And then he spoke about there will be high universal income. Now, I know that terminology sounds like World Economic Forum. I'll come back to that in a minute.
Yeah.
And then he says, uh, and eventually you won't even have to work unless you choose to.
Mm.
So, what does that tell us? Well, that tells us a lot of things. It tells us that AI and robotics are going to be taking a lot of jobs,
Yeah.
number one. Number two, the repatriation of all the stolen wealth has been calculated from all the unconstitutional and illegal income taxation. That
Mm.
money's coming back to we the people.
Mhm.
Go to the usdebtclock.org. It's got like 83,000 per citizen right now on some formula.
Right.
But then there's the birth certificate trading, and it's not a conspiracy. I did
Mhm.
a full episode on
Remember
that for
that?
2 hours. Everything's in there.
Oh, yeah.
The Vatican and London made trillions off of us, trading us from our birth as a commodity. All of that wealth is going to be repatriated back in some formula or another. There's part of, again, your Nasara Gasara question.
Right.
The what's the Bible call it? What's that term?
Uh,
Uh, every certain amount of years, debt is
yeah.
forgiven.
Jubilee. The year.
Jubilee.
Mhm.
Yeah, all of these things are boiling in a pot right now, and that's why Musk can say those things and not look crazy and be proven right later.
Yeah.
And so, and Stan Scavino and the president are talking about no taxes here, there, and everywhere. You
Beautiful.
got the tariffs. Hello, folks. There's your reset in
Yeah.
layman's terms in a nutshell.
Yeah.
And of course, the average dart thrower is going to say, "I can't pay my bills. Show me the money. What do I?" We
Right.
understand all that.
We're all going
Get
through.
plugged in,
Yeah.
follow the right content. Those of us of faith pray. I have a whole website called wealthcoachuniversity.com, free 10 video modules to help people get out of the system.
Yeah.
Because that's why the book I just wrote is about global financial reset, surviving and thriving the transition. Those that don't have any money,
Hmm.
which is the majority of America. The
Hmm.
middle class has been gutted out by design.
Right.
And so people don't have two nickels to rub together. They still need to listen to the shows and the content that I publish because it affects everyone.
Right.
Jubilee, get high income, no need to work, repatriation of wealth. There are formulas of money that's coming back to us and
Mm.
humanitarian projects based on certain amount of wealth that you'll have that can be. This is what I've learned. I mean, we're gonna have to see it play out, but
Right.
um, it's extraordinary time, and I think people don't realize what life is going to be like. Let's say 3 years from now,
Yeah.
it's really going to be incredible
Yeah.
and vastly different. So the last thing to say about the economy is again, let the Federal Reserve note die. Let all the noise happen during transition. You have to realize those in control of the money, London and the players, they're
Mm.
not going to let quadrillions of dollars go without a fight.
Right.
That's why I want to put up the red flags. So those that have assets to protect, that by hook or by crook, in a system designed to make sure you can't get ahead, if
Hmm.
you've managed to do that, Walt Whitman once said, it requires a great deal of effort and a great deal of caution to make a great fortune. And once you have acquired it, it requires 10 times as much effort to keep it.
Mm.
Man, is that's true
So
ad
true.
infinitum in today's environment. So
Yeah.
people need to get out of the system
Yeah.
to an extent. And I cover that again in the 10 free modules
Yeah.
and on the show with the guests, because if you do nothing and just stay in the US dollar,
Yeah.
stocks, bonds, and mutual funds and real estate, you will lose almost everything.
Isn't that
The
horrible?
elephant in the room is the currency, and you hedge against that with gold and silver.
Gold and silver. Yeah.
Bullion, not semi-numismatics, not partially rare coins. There's a whole story there.
Physical. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a buyer beware market. I got a whole module on that. But anyway, there's
Yeah.
your reset in a nutshell.
I
Many
love
of the
it.
aspects of Nassar and Gassar are unfolding. Some may or may not.
Hmm.
But ultimately, it'll be a series of steps.
Hmm.
Fed note gone, new dollar backed. Okay, strength, blah, blah, blah. Okay, then moves into a stable coin.
Hmm.
Stable coin goes into a QFS, and you are your own bank.
Amazing.
And then through AI reading everything about you on new devices will also play a part in how much of that repatriation of wealth that's been credited to your account will you have access to. Now we're going into speculation land, but it's from a lot of interesting people I've interviewed. But that's where we're heading. There is a reset going on. It's going to get worse before it gets better.
Yeah.
I'm not just to throw a lot of last minute things out. I'm
Yeah.
not concerned about the midterm elections. I know that's not a
Either.
good thing to say, but
But
the president, follow the president. Forget
yeah.
all the podcasters. He told you straight up, hey, you don't pass the SAVE Act, I'm going to get the job done anyway.
Right.
Declaration of emergency,
Yeah.
election emergency.
Hmm.
Folks, we got it. And
We
95% of Congress, both sides of the aisle, will be gone before his
yeah.
term is up.
Love it.
And when his term is up, he may still be here. There's a lot going to change, folks. And
Hmm.
it's just what the doctor ordered. And the last thing to say is this is God ordained.
Hmm.
Here's your pecking order of command and control. God, Trump, the White Hats, the military, and you and me and everyone listening right now, we the people, together, we're going to save America, and that's what we're doing.
Yeah.
And we're redirecting humanity on a course correction.
Hmm.
And Trump's taking all the arrows, and a lot, and the movement's going crazy. And I say, shame on them. I had someone I know for a long time, hardworking patriot, done incredible work for 40 years in political activism, who's lost it.
Yeah.
And I just said, how dare you abandon your commander in chief in our time of war?
Seriously.
Have faith.
Yeah.
And you could take the horse to the water. If
Right.
people would watch my military panels alone, or
Oh,
my every other Monday Bosi briefs with Ricardo Bosi, and
yeah.
took the time to actually watch and listen,
Hmm.
and then anything that seems like that can't be, well,
Hmm.
first off, look who's telling it to you. It isn't me. I'm just
Right.
a messenger.
Right.
Okay. It's people with special ops experience, people that understand the art of this war.
Right.
You should listen to
Exactly.
them and then do your own homework.
Right.
Then come back to the table.
Exactly. Oh, I love
No,
that. I love that explanation of Trumpopoly. That's what I like to call it,
yes.
Trumpopoly. I don't know if anybody else is saying it, but I made that
First
up.
time I'm hearing it.
Okay,
Yep.
good. That I'm coining it. We can use it. What was that? Very quickly, because then I do want you to touch on UFOs quickly. The Wealth Coach website. I
Okay,
want,
it's a website
uh-huh.
called wealthcoachuniversity.com. The
Okay.
reason this site was born about a year ago is the public was asking me, "Hey, we love your panels, we love the work you're doing,
Yeah.
but you don't spend enough time on the economy." And so I launched a weekly live show. It's live every Wednesday, 8:30 p.m. Eastern, Global Financial Reset, where I bring on a lot of great guests
Yeah.
and we machete through it all.
I love
Second is I formed that website and I don't know, I spent 100 hours designing 10 video modules and I encourage people to go there. I wouldn't say dumbed down, but I would say it's high level content delivered in layman's terms so that makes sense to people. There are 10 video modules on how to GOOTS, get out of the system.
Yeah.
I say that tongue in cheek. The only way to fully get out of the system is to move to Mars with Elon Musk. But but there are things you can and should do. Remember, I used to be a financial advisor. I was independent. I had 6 offices in 3 states, and I did that for 12 years.
Yeah.
So I know what goes on the in the Wall Street Club,
Right.
and I left that in perfect standing from all regulatory bodies back in 08, 09. So when you look at what I know what goes on back there, and you look at the world that we're living in this reset, um, you need help, and the 10 video modules are there for it.
That's
So
great.
that's what that site is about. 10 free video modules and a lot of other resources.
Right.
Um,
I,
and you mentioned earlier about the lack of unity or the devised division that they do for us.
mhm.
Um, I always remember 9/11,
Mhm.
and these words kept coming to my mind. Tragedy brings unity.
Yeah.
During 9/11, I'm talking about fresh off the heels, those
Yeah.
days and weeks on the streets of New York City,
Oh, I was down there.
um, there
Quiet.
was nothing but unity. No one cared if you were gay or straight, black or white, Jew, Christian, Muslim,
True.
rich or poor, whatever, man, woman, everyone helped each other. All right. And, that's what's coming when the people won't listen to the Epstein files and they still say Trump is in there, or the people won't listen to what I just walked everybody through on a financial reset, or any of the pick your subjects that Hollywood and music, not all but most, are pedophiles, and
Right.
that this satanic rule of the world, and that London, the axis of evil was London, the Vatican, and DC is the military. I'm working for that deep state cabal. When this is what's going on, and I forgot where I was going with all this, but
Absolutely.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
so wake
Yeah.
up and smell the coffee, folks.
Yeah, it's absolutely true. And we need to pay attention. I'm definitely going to go look there myself. So if you don't mind just touching on the real quick, because I know we're running. I don't want to keep you all day. I would, Michael, John, Michael. I love talking to you. But the UFO, this is huge. What they're trying to do now, as a Christian for over 50 years and a minister, you know. I believe that these are entities, that these are either fallen angel or, something like that. So people will argue with that. But there is a reason. My uncle would not talk about it. He flew on Air Force One for decades. He was in the Air Force Chief Master Sergeant. And we would have slight conversation, so to speak. He's gone now. I miss him. He died almost a year ago. But if you can expound a little bit on, and then we'll wrap it up because I've
Okay.
kept it so early.
Well,
Yeah.
thank you. And I was a bit of a motor mouth before, but
No, no,
I just
that's
wanted
why
to
I had
throw
you on.
enough
Yes.
stuff out there
Yeah.
that maybe someone can latch onto one thing and say, well, that I'll
Yeah.
research. And
Yeah.
then that opens up some doors. I'm not
Yeah.
here to convince anybody of anything.
No.
I'm reporting the truth as I know it to be
Right.
from the experts that I've interviewed. And folks, I'm not a sunshine patriot is a term that's out there. I've been doing this for 3 decades. I've been down the rabbit holes. I have on my website, jmcbroadcasting.com, a link, Library of Truth. People can click on there. We've got by thumbnail category, Save the Children, Robert David Steele speeches, George
Yeah.
Carlin speeches, the
Yeah.
economic issues, Hollywood. It's all there. It's not my work. It's documentaries and shows that are valuable. And it's a library of truth. People can go there and
Yeah.
that'll save you. There's research there for you. Follow the Cabal series, the Joe M videos. It's all
Oh,
there.
those are amazing. I can tell you some stuff with some of the work that I have done and still am doing is directing people who have been sexually trafficked children and satanic ritually abused survivors. That's how I got targeted. But
Yeah, that
you know,
that's over the
a lot of
target.
work.
Yeah,
And what you said a few minutes ago about Hollywood all being pedophiles, you are one and a lot of the government people. And one of
absolutely.
one of the girls that I know, has a book out called Secret Weapons because she was used as a child, trained in Camp Pendleton, where I was stationed, to take down dignitaries and stuff. They would get them, have dinner with them, knock them out, and put the little kid in bed with them and everything. There's so much that people just don't have any idea is going on in this world, and so I don't think you were motor mouthing it. I love it. I'm from
Well, they're
Connecticut, yeah, so we talk
they're
fast.
they're about to find out, and it
Yeah,
has to be done responsibly. This is military precision. There
right,
is no room for error.
right.
And as you mentioned before, some things have already happened,
Mhm.
and then will be shown. Some things we might not be shown.
Yeah,
Some things haven't happened because it's fluid, and it's a little bit of all that, and that's confusing
right.
to people, and I understand why. But back to the UFOs.
Yeah.
As far as I know, it's been at least since Dwight Eisenhower
Mhm.
that these files have been compiled, top secret security files on what we'll call Area 51 related matters,
Yeah.
unidentified flying objects. I think today they call that unidentified aerial phenomenon, a
Right. Yeah.
UAP or something.
Yeah.
So, but look, the bottom line is uh, no one can say that they don't exist. Of course they exist. That's why there's top security files that every president, including Eisenhower and since, has
Mhm.
read.
That's right.
Now, the difference between this administration and the others and this time in history is it's time for the world to know we are freeing humanity and people need the truth. So what are they going to do? Hide the truth that we've had relationships
Mhm.
with uh, off world entities? Because we've had. That's
Yeah.
why President Trump published what he published the other day, him walking on a military base with a big alien.
Yeah.
And I'm told by Ricardo Bossi they don't like to be called aliens; they like to be called ETs. Oops, pardon me. I don't want to offend one, but
ET going home.
but look, the bottom line with these files is he just released, I think, the first tranche, and I understand a second one just came out.
Mhm.
There'll be plenty more to come. They'll be ramped up. Things have to be done responsibly, otherwise people will freak out. But you mentioned religion, so I'll go there.
Uh-huh.
It's going to challenge people that are going to have the most difficulty, in my humble opinion, as the UFO type files continue to pile out to us over time, is the folks that are very religious.
Mhm.
And I'm not an expert in all this, but Captain Pete Mattisou cited a few phrases in the Bible when I asked in my Eyes on Gitmo monthly military panel about um, the controversy it will create
Yeah. Yeah.
within the religious movement. And he really calmed that down with some great resources, and he's very poised. I encourage everyone to go listen to this. It's the current Eyes on Gitmo episode on my Rumble channel and website where he said it best. But at the end of the day, the truth is the truth,
Yes.
and you're going to have to come to grips with it.
Yeah.
And that's the way it is. And so, and but it's all there, and we hear about. I mean, I was told by retired Lieutenant Colonel Tom Lennox,
Mhm.
80 years old, served all over the world on behalf for this nation. Retired Lieutenant Colonel, he served in battle and units and also in the Pentagon. He was also at one point a comptroller for the Department of Defense. This is a brilliant man, and he stated that. Well, we know about time travel from Tesla.
Yeah.
We know we're learning now that some of the UFO, we'll call them files, is where we're going to learn about anti-gravity and zero-point energy, coupled with the Tesla patents. I was told on air, so I can say it right here. When I interviewed the colonel, he said that President Trump and said the Trump family, didn't name who, have all utilized time travel, have gone through to the galactic side,
I
the
believe it.
alliance on the other side,
Mhm.
have gone through, figuratively say, walk through that portal.
Mhm.
Folks, this is, you want disclosure, you've been waiting for disclosure. Here's disclosure.
Yeah.
Now, as far as the arrests and all that go, just real quick on that, a lot of it's happened, will be shown. What's yet to happen will be shown. In my opinion, they're setting up a Nuremberg 2.0 thing for the Gates folks and
Good.
the Fauci folks
Good.
and so forth and so on. But yeah, this UFO stuff, I think that it's going to be tremendous. And the Tesla patents coming, getting re-released,
Yeah.
getting utilized finally, rather. Um, I interviewed Dr. Jerome Corsi the other day. He
Yeah.
spoke about the origins of Space Force, beginning back with Jack Kennedy.
Mhm.
That's starter and Trump the finisher.
Right.
Folks, it's almost we're in like the best Twilight Zone episode ever.
It's true.
That's the world we're living in.
It is so
And
true. Yeah.
yeah, it's the Truman Show, and
Yeah.
we are the stars of the show, and
Yeah.
we're at the very end of that movie and in that boat, and we're
Right.
realizing, wow, I can get out of this matrix and
Yeah.
walk into the real world.
Yeah.
Welcome to your life. Those of
Exactly.
faith, pray.
Mhm.
Those that don't have faith, surround yourself with people that are proactive. People need to be kind to each other. People need to help each other
Mhm.
um, because people are about to get shocked, even with all the responsibleness that will be deployed by the white hats in the military. There's some shocking events
I can't
and
wait.
shocking information coming to the world.
Yeah. A lot of the stuff within Satanism is they have to foretell before they can do something. There are so many cartoons, even for children, where they show the
Mhm.
portal and they can go through and be on another
Mhm.
side. And so
Yes.
the more I see, I don't see things, I can't even watch TV anymore. I see so much now.
Mhm.
And because if somebody puts something on a cartoon, I'm going, they're telling us. Just like Walking Dead came out, and I said, oh, they're going to come out with some kind of sick virus, something. I told my son years ago, like 2014 maybe, he was young. And I said, watch, one day they'll try to tell us that Ebola is coming to America. And now it's like,
It's
so
back.
it's
Yes.
back. Yeah, it's back. Here we are.
I
But,
want to comment real
go ahead.
quickly here.
Yes.
This is an important takeaway on the UFOs since you asked. I want to
Okay.
get it on the record.
Yes, sir.
It's my opinion and the opinion of many others as well
Hmm.
that the left, the enemy, if you will, we're going to use the alien card, but differently,
Yeah.
as a matter of fear to divert from the arrests and the other issues,
Right.
and to just further, pulverize everybody and so forth. And so, of course, the white hats, Trump knew this, and played the card, the true card, and
Right.
is starting to reveal it. So now that trumped one of their ace in the hole cards.
Yeah.
This is the kind of life we're living in, and most people don't see it. They can't get it. And but common sense, when the president says he's central casting, oh look,
Right.
look, perfect picture, central casting.
Exactly.
I mean, he's done it hundreds of times. He's the number 17 hundreds of times.
Right.
You got to be kidding. The guy on Fox with the mask,
Yeah.
remember the Biden
Joe
stuff?
Biden. Yeah.
Give me a break.
Crooked head. He has
Okay.
crooked.
John Kasich, the
Yeah.
congressman out of Ohio years ago,
Yeah.
I'm sure you folks know this. If not, I think it's still on YouTube. You can
Yeah.
Google some of these words and find it. He was on Fox News Live, and he actually said, and I'm paraphrasing, when they killed John McCain.
Hmm.
Okay, John
I
McCain, in my
remember that.
opinion, was executed at a
Was
military
executed.
tribunal. So was Joe
Right.
Biden. I
Yeah.
have a list
So
of
was
people that I
Hillary.
think were.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes. And
Mhm.
then, but you know what? Since it's a divisive movement and a little hard for people to gather around, I don't spend a lot of time there. I just say, we'll be shown everything.
Yeah. I'm looking
And
forward to that. May I ask you
comment.
an interesting question very quick and then
Sure.
we'll go. Um, a lot of people still believe that John F. Kennedy Jr. is still alive. I cried like I've known Trump. I'm from Connecticut. You're from New York originally.
Mhm.
Um, he's just been part of our life. The Kennedys were part of our life. My grandmother had a bust of John F. Kennedy. And I tend to believe that they were a lot smarter than Hillary Clinton. They knew that she put $1 million hit out on him. There was C4 on the tail of the plane. I do believe he's still alive. I
I'm
still thought that.
68 years. I'm 68 years old next month.
Yeah,
I was.
me too.
I
I'll
think
be
I'm two. I
64.
think I'm two. I think I'm 2 years older than Junior.
Yeah,
And I remember, of course, the assassination. I was 5,
yeah,
and I didn't didn't really
right.
completely
We just
hit
grew
me
up
at
hearing.
5. But you saw a nation in grief, and I was wondering why I was sent home from school and why my father was crying in front of the television and not at work.
Right.
But bottom line is Junior alive? Well, I have a few things to say about that. I think he is. I've waffled on it over the years, but I've looked at enough anomalies,
Hmm.
enough things that I would say is like impossible coincidences. And why is that narrative even out there? And so forth. Yeah, I would say you were right. His intelligence smartened the Clintons,
Yeah.
and some say even, which I don't believe. Some say JFK Senior was not
Yeah.
assassinated and lived to 105 and died a few years ago. Hey, anything's possible. I will say
Right.
that, but
I think.
I'm not in that camp. But
Yeah.
Junior, as far as
Yeah.
Junior goes, yeah, he's probably with us. But you know what? Again, I don't like to speculate on things that A, we can't control,
Right.
and B, are divisive. What's the
Right.
value? So you know what? Let's wait and see. If Junior's alive,
That would be
it
amazing.
would be pointless to have that whole narrative brought into the movement unless he surfaces and
Yeah.
serves.
Yeah.
And so I believe that'll happen. And
I would
is
love.
Wano Savin JFK Jr., with all due respect to our friend Kerry Cassidy, who's done some great work in her early years, he is not JFK Jr.
Yeah. He's
I
not.
know this as much as a fact as anyone can. I've known Juan 7 years. He spent 3 nights in my house when he was visiting the Mar-a-Lago. I was 3 hours away. I lived there in Sarasota at the time. And we've done speeches together. I've interviewed him
Yeah.
over 100
Me too.
times. I spent a day with him in Thailand.
Mhm.
I'm going to meet with him next week somewhere.
Yeah.
I've seen him, Kerry. It's not a body pack.
Yeah.
I've seen Juan, with all due respect, Juan, go from my guest bedroom to my guest bathroom with his shirt off. It's not a belly pack.
Yeah.
His beautiful wife is trying to help him lose a little bit of weight.
Yeah.
Uh,
The dog. I have
Listen,
pictures with him, and I also spoke at Gideon's Army events, and me and him spoke there. And yeah, no, you're 100%
but
correct.
where she's in the vicinity of accurate, and I usually never discuss anyone else, and I haven't said anything disparaging. I'm just
Yeah.
challenging it. I texted Carrie a couple of years ago. We had one exchange of dialogue, and I said, he's just not Junior. He just
Yeah.
isn't. And but and he's on a record, and
Mhm.
I've listened to the videos,
Mhm.
vehemently stating that he is not.
No.
Yet you have the narrative,
Yeah.
but with deviating a bit, is Junior alive? I believe he is. I will say this: there was a gentleman in the NSA whose name I'm not going to reveal, who
Mhm.
said to me a few years ago, we had a long discussion on the phone,
Mhm.
and challenged me and said, "No, Junior is dead. I can give you the phone number of the SEAL that brought the bodies up from underneath the ocean." And I didn't take the number because I think it's a diversion,
I
and
know a
I
SEAL
don't
who,
think it's true.
no, I know a SEAL who said that those were training videos that we saw. Those that was not
Yeah,
JFK. I
yeah,
did
that
like
makes more sense to me.
Yeah, I did a 3 month study on it with Bill Cooper's stuff and a whole bunch of and who is was a friend of our buddy Juan, who I love. Yeah, and no,
But
JFK Jr. I think is alive.
I
I
will say this about Junior and Juan that I've come to learn. Um, they've known each other for years.
hmm
While Juan's got to be at least 10 years older
hmm
than Junior would be my guess.
They might
Um,
have
they
some evidence.
have had events at
hmm
Martha's Vineyard. They know each other,
Yeah.
and they do some sort of inner role playing during
Uh,
this period of time
yeah.
with different modulators and different things. So, in the vicinity of Kerry Cassidy's talk, there's that, I believe, level of truth. But to
Yeah.
say Juan is Junior is just not just a fallacy.
It is a
Sorry to disappoint everyone. But I do believe Junior's alive, and
I do too.
I believe we will see him surface.
Yeah.
And
The first
Scott, go ahead.
Now, the first time Juan came out and they actually showed him publicly, and I said, "That's not Juan." And then when I've been with him in different events and stuff, and the real Juan is Juan, the one that was at your house. But
The
that,
one I'm about to have an all day sit
yeah,
down with in Asia.
yeah,
That's the real one.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. I love the man, and you could tell him. Jody from Warriors Rise loves you. He knows. But the that one character, it looked like a mask to me. I was like, and the more I
Well,
studied that time, I was like,
I,
they switched.
I had a 5 hour dinner with Juan.
Yeah,
You know the picture that's out there of him with the cowboy hat and the
yeah,
deck of playing cards. That was a photograph taken at what I call the John and Mary event
yeah,
at in Las Vegas many years ago, where Vincent Fusca and a bunch of guys were there.
yeah,
Juan got and Jim Caviezel got
yeah.
and
Wonderful.
a
Yeah.
lot of problems with that event I don't want to get into, but
Okay.
that's where that photo was taken. That next night, I had dinner with Juan at the Trump International, I guess it's called in Vegas, a
Yeah,
5 hour dinner, and he was in disguise there.
yeah,
He had red eyebrows and hair and different color things, and but it was Juan.
yeah.
But he, look, he's been in clandestine ops for decades. That's
Mhm.
the nature of his work,
Exactly.
and he's taken 2 bullets. People don't know that literally,
Yeah.
and so. Those that throw darts at Juan, some just don't like his long-winded style. But if
Oh, I love him.
people had any patience, those long-winded answers are loaded with gems.
Absolutely.
It's more he actually does more than answer the question.
He does.
Quite the opposite of what everyone says.
Right. Yeah.
But if they don't want the long version of Juan, watch him on Nino because
Yeah.
Nino seems
You know,
not
to
let
make
guests get a word in edgewise. So,
yeah, it's
you'll
funny.
have short segments of Juan
Yeah.
there. With all due
Right.
respect to David, who does
Yeah, that's
good work.
hysterical. I love David too. Here, let me just quickly show your website here. Let me see. I don't know what it's
There
doing.
it is.
Let's go. I want people to come here. I will add your wealthcoachuniversity.com underneath the video, but it's johnmichaelchambers.com. There's so much here. Um, you guys have to go here. You have to
These
come.
are daily war reports, that little
Yeah,
player screen.
yeah,
There's a gentleman named Guardian Daniel R. that provides me scripts, provides for the world, and I've taken them
yeah,
to the camera.
yeah.
So about a lot of my war reports are direct from him that I'm just reading, and
Wow.
some of them I'm authoring. But
Yeah,
they're daily, 3 to 5 minutes long. This
yeah,
is our broadcasting schedule. These are some of the
yeah.
current shows, either weekly or monthly.
Absolutely
Um,
amazing stuff. You got to go to this. You got to start watching John Michael. And yeah, I've met our Patriot Street Fighter here too. I've got pictures with him. Great guests. Of course, for me, it's the generals, and I love them. And then the other page that I wanted to share, let me just do this quickly, was your YouTube. So we want,
Here's a quick story on YouTube.
yeah.
I was thrown off.
Me too.
That's what got me to form AMP, actually. I was thrown
Oh,
off.
okay.
I said, well, whatever, I'll do it myself, and we did.
Yeah.
But
This
we
is
only got back on a few months ago,
that's
and I
all.
have 30,000 followers there with them. Thank you,
Yeah,
everyone who's following us.
yeah.
Um,
I
but
follow I follow you on my page. This is a generic page, but you have some amazing videos here. These guys are your financial
yes,
amazing.
Will Barney,
Yeah,
Cunningham, Dowling,
yeah.
Bill
This
Armour.
this has been
Hmm.
such good stuff. Eyes on Gitmo, I love it. The global defense war. I'm telling you, I was like, I'm so happy that you were willing to come on the show. Folks, come support John Michael's. I mean, just there's so much you will be listening and listening, and then we're going to add this, wealth coach. So that'll be under
You
the
know,
video.
you
Go ahead.
mentioned in the introduction, I just want to close out with it. I'm
Yes.
grateful to the people that are navigating and gravitating to our platform. We had in the last 4 or 5 months, our monthly views are in the 10 to 15 million per month.
Amazing.
In terms of collective views for the total of 10 shows that we actually broadcast in a 30-day period. We had 425,000 visits to that website that you just had up there last month. And our followers, when you look at all the collective pages from Rumble and YouTube and Facebook and blah, blah, blah,
Wow.
are about 250,000. So the message is getting out. And one of the reasons is because I interview military, intelligence, and economic experts by and large, and we deliver it as professionally as we can and very consistent. And people are gravitating to it. They're looking for answers that make sense. And X-22 report, I would recommend to
Oh,
people, another
Dave.
great
Yeah.
source for information.
Yeah.
But it's time for people to whittle down their
Yeah.
resources. A lot
Yeah.
of people don't like Derek Johnson's style.
I
Okay,
love
I can understand that. But you know what? Uh, no one,
it. Yeah.
no one in this movement does what he
Yeah.
does it better than him.
He's amazing.
Period.
Yeah.
Connecting the dots on the executive orders and the law of war manual.
Yeah.
So, folks, whittle down your sources to a half a dozen, if that.
Yeah.
Certainly get off of fake news,
Yes.
and your life will get easier and a lot more calm if you get the noise out, the disinformation, the propaganda, the lies, and the crazies.
Yeah.
Just people that are trying to do well but have no clue.
Right.
Get it down to some good sources. Just follow them and
Hmm.
then do your own research.
Exactly.
Prepare. That's what those modules are in the Wealth Coach University. Also preparedness, not just money. Get yourself where you need to be
Hmm.
so you can write out what we're going through and then help others that need your
Exactly.
help. And then the golden age is dawning, folks.
It's
We're
coming.
not going to be debt slaves anymore. Our bodies, our health and wealth is going to be healed. They've suppressed it. It's all coming out. And thank God for Donald J. Trump.
Amen. Well, we're going to close on that. That is an amazing truth. Thank God. Thank God. And I've never seen the Lord Jesus Christ mentioned so many times, and not even under Reagan, you know, just amazing. So thank you so much for coming. I've
Thank you.
enjoyed this beyond words. So
Thank you very much for your service in military and your
thank
continued
you.
service as a civilian. As you well know better than anyone, that oath never sunsets. So thank
Never.
you for everything you're doing.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Take care, guys.